Record. Morning, everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome to our How to Take Over the World session. My name is Mark. I'm hosting you for today. Busy week, lots on the go, and some good news kind of floating around. So let's get straight into it. First up, just a reminder of our purpose. Access to finance, where we're looking at capital raising, ESD programs, DTIC grants and incentives. Obviously, that's quite topical this week with the whole thing around the Black Industrialist scheme, getting your business funding ready, and then access to markets, looking at content, comms, PR, business development, and triple BE strategy. So lots on the go, lots to keep us busy. Let's look at what we've worked on this week. Actually, before we do that, just a tune to get you going, and I just found this quite funny. Kelly Clarkson, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But when she got divorced, she had to pay her spouse $45,000 a month in child maintenance and $115K per month in spousal support. So times that by 17, and that's quite a good life for somebody who is kind of a minor celebrity. What are we working on this week? Anae has been doing quite a lot of work on getting the BusyMed project back up and running, doing a lot of interaction with them, and kind of work on their brand guide. So that's quite cool. We kicked off our SME.tax content marketing campaign this week with Cameron putting together some interviews with entrepreneurs. I think this one is about to hit 1,000 views. I mean, I'm always cynical on digital stats, but it's got quite good engagement, and well done, Cameron. I think it's a nice start and nice first project for you. Now, hopefully the inquiries follow. AMS has been doing some very cool work on the corporate wellness related content for dynamic body technology. I know it kind of just ticks along in the background, but AMS, you've done a cool job there, and it's really starting to stand out. So well done. This is, we were just talking about all the things that we have actually done this week, and when I started writing this list, it just got longer and longer. But Anae attended the Topco ESG and Transformation event. She won the most engaged celebrity, not celebrity, what are you, an influencer, Anae, from your social media side of things? We have a brief to redesign or do all the copy for the Solana Energy website. So that came through. It's some new business that just landed this week. The South 32 adopt an SME program. I know there's been various engagements with different SMEs there. Some more new business that is about to land. We are doing a staff share trust in conjunction with SME.tax for a client. So that's a nice chunk of work there. AMS has been doing the next move, content marketing. There's been a lot of client reports that are on the go at the moment. Nelly and Cameron are doing some work there. DDT social media carries on. Addison Comline, guy actually phoned me yesterday to say Cameron's doing a good job there. So well done, Cameron, you've had a good week. TGR attorneys carrying on there. And then next week, we start work on that fundraising strategy for the Sharks Rugby Business Centre. So that will keep us quite busy. Just a reminder again, we've got that offer from IT Varsity. We've been doing some work and had some interest in this. So anybody who is kind of courting any potential clients, if you want a bit of a sweetener, you are able to offer them the opportunity to be able to, you're allowed to offer them the opportunity to get access to the digital literacy offering from IT Varsity. Big lesson for the week: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I know it sounds cheesy, but I was just looking at kind of the work that we've been doing with Ahmed around Blossom and then subsequently Solana, a lot of the work that we do with the SME.tax team. I think the fact that we collaborate has probably been one of the things that's managed to get us going in, where we are today. What are we watching this week? So for those of you who have any debt, the repo rate is up by another 75 basis points. And I think that there was expectation of one more rate hike to come. One of SA's biggest passion fruit farms is relocating to Ghana because they actually have more efficient ports than South Africa does at the moment. There's about 300 jobs there. But then on the other side, a Canadian tech startup called Cost Certified is setting up head office in Cape Town, bringing its own 300 jobs. SA's first cannabis fund is listing on Easy Equity. So if you want to invest in the cannabis sector. You can actually go and invest on easy equities. It's called Silver Leaf. I don't know anything about it, but I did just think it was an interesting story this week. For those who like their property, Easy Properties has launched their new Black Brick 2, which is in Santon. You can buy kind of sharing apartments there that they rent out for corporate use or for Airbnb. And then lastly, just kind of a good stat, if you follow these kind of things, total number of civil judgments for debt decreased 16% year on year, which is a sign that consumer finances are actually improving. So there's a bit of good news in amongst all of that. And I think that we can be optimists, not all negative news, even though we do kind of wake up in the dark and we don't have water and all those exciting things. We do still have some things that are going right. I'm going to stop there. Nate, did I miss anything?
No, I think that was very comprehensive. Thanks, Mark.
Cool. Then with that, I'm going to hand over to Paula, who is going first this week.
Will you let me share my screen, please?
There we go. You should be able to do it now.
Okay, and just full disclosure, I am not going to be putting on my camera because as Mark mentioned, this whole waking up in the dark thing is not particularly fun. So I have no idea what I look like at this moment. But what I'm going to talk about today is how to avoid falling into the email phishing or scams. And how do you know whether or not something is real or a trap? So for those that don't know me, I manage the online and blended learning environment in the School of Therapeutic Sciences at WITS. And you know, when you manage any sort of online platforms, it's quite important to understand what kinds of hacks and that kind of thing are out there. So I thought this is a little bit of a practical thing to get into, and it was quite scary when I actually started looking at my own email feed to find examples to see just how much was actually being pushed in my direction. So I think the first thing to ask, is what is phishing? So phishing essentially is a social engineering attack. They aim to make you feel comfortable, make you feel like you're not under any form of threat, while still trying to convince you that you need to take action. They want you to click on a link or open a document or do something. And so it's about changing your behavior based on making you feel like you need to do something urgently, but that it's okay to do it. And why do they do that? They want to gain access to your personal information, and sometimes this is a two-step approach. So they want you to log in to a particular website, and so it could be like your bank account or SARS or something that would have another set of information in it. But what they're then doing is, because they make you believe that what you're seeing in front of you is your bank's login page or the SARS e-filing login page or whichever platform they've chosen to try and make you act on, when it doesn't let you in, so the first time you sign in, it actually fails. It says no incorrect login, and they've got a program that then pushes you actually to the correct website. And then you log in there and you think, oh, I obviously just mistyped something somewhere. But what they've actually done is that they've tracked and logged your login information for that particular platform. And inside your bank, they can then get access to all sorts of things once they've got some of those things. Bank hacks are happening less because of the two-step authentication processes. But, you know, they can, if they start there and they have access to things like your cell phone and they can spoof your phone, then that's how they kind of get away with things. The other attempt is to install malware or a virus on your device, which has all sorts of purposes. It can push you to a particular requirement to you know, if your screen is constantly being bombarded with a advert or I know I had a virus a few years ago where every time I opened a new tab on my browser, it would populate with all sorts of very entertaining content. And then the other is to install ransomware. And so ransomware is becoming a bigger and bigger problem, where they essentially freeze your machine, take it over, and have the ability to then demand money to release your information. So how do they do it? So this is a SARS e-filer email that I got recently. And so the social engineering things to look out for, firstly, it comes supposedly from SARS. So you think, oh, you already have this little bit of a love-hate relationship with the tax man, mostly not the love side. So it already raises your blood pressure a little bit. Oh, SARS, what do they need from me now? You know, 80% payment on the 19th of July. So now you could see this was sent to me on the 18th. And so the next day I'm supposed to be paying 80% of something, and I don't even know what it is. And then it also says details are needed. So it's already cueing you that you're going to have to fill in a form or give details about something when you click on the link. Then you look at who sent it. So this Read More, she's the sender. So my first cue that this is definitely not something I should click on was that this lady works for WSP. It's not a SARS email. And if you then even go the step to Google WSP, you can see that their website has absolutely nothing to do with a SARS collection agency, or you know, even if it was vaguely related, but it's got nothing to do with tax or anything like that. Then the next step is to actually have a look at the hyperlink. And when you hover over the link, there's usually a pop-up that can tell you what the URL is that it wants you to go to. And here you can see it's a shortened link, and it doesn't have anything to do with SARS. So automatically, based on that information, I rejected the idea that this was actually a real email, and was more convinced that this is a trap. This one, you can see again, it's a SARS. Again, the email address looks nothing like what would come from SARS. But what they did here is when you hover over the hyperlink, you can see sars.gov.za. So you kind of think, oh, maybe it is real. But there's still this .html afterwards, and it's got a whole lot of other things in front. Now, CSS is essentially the style guide or the styling of a website. And so what they've done, this particular website, I didn't click on it, but I'm pretty sure that what they've done here is that they've cloned the SARS landing page and login page, and use the actual SARS CSS script inside their spoof page. So that would make you believe that you are actually logging into SARS because it looks right. But you can see all the rest of it is really nothing to do with SARS, and having another extension after the .sars.gov.za immediately completely changes the domain. So yes, this is a trap. Then, is this real? So I got this email on Wednesday, which looks perfectly real to me. I wasn't convinced with the Facebook mail, and I didn't request a password reset on my Facebook account. So why am I being sent this? I looked at the bottom and it says it's sending it to my email address, and this is the address that I have with Facebook. But my primary email address is my other email address. So I thought, well, okay, let me go and check that next. And I went and checked my Gmail account, and at almost exactly the same time, within a minute, I had got a password reset email from Facebook as well, from the same facebookmail.com. Now, Facebook mail, I kind of thought, is that real? It looks real enough, but I'm not sure. So I Googled the @facebookmail.com, and this is what I found. Yes, it is a common domain name from Facebook. And if you're unsure about anything, then you can check facebook.com settings and your settings on your account to see whether or not they have actually sent you an email. So I didn't know this before checking it out. And so when I went into my Facebook account and went to the settings, the security and login, you can see, you can click on, and there's a history of the email sent. So yes, they had actually sent me an email. So it was a real email from Facebook, but this does mean that somebody tried to get into my account and requested a password reset. So I've gone in and actually changed my Facebook password now, subsequently, just to make sure that I'm not a victim. And then this one's an attachment. It almost looks real. It's, no reply at fnbstatement.coza. FNB doesn't use this extension though. So the domain is wrong, firstly. And this is not how they label their statements. But look how good this email looked. And I actually went into, because I thought, oh, I haven't heard of this Debbie check before. And I went onto the FNB website, and yes, they are running a campaign for Debbie check. So they were quite clever about making the look and feel of this email look really good. But if you look at this FNB statement.pdf.html, it depends on which mail client you're using as to whether your attachments actually show via icon that they are actually going to a browser address. But I mean, here they've actually attached a URL. You click on it, it's going to take you to a web page and not to your actual statement. And so inside this one, there could be all sorts of things. I didn't click on it, and I deleted it from my computer straight after taking this photo. And that was back in May. But luckily I'd taken the photo because I'd shared it with somebody else to make sure that they didn't fall victim to it as well. So this one, is it real or is it a trap? This is definitely a trap, even though it looks pretty real. Here, it was the attachment that was going to get us. So I hope after this, you won't fall for it. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thanks, Paula. And guys, I mean, I think it's really important for those of you who are managing social media accounts. If you click on something and you lose the account, ours or our clients, it will be a very costly mistake. So please be aware of it. And I think that if you're not sure, if in doubt, don't click. If don't forward, don't whatever. We can look at them on instance by instance, but please be very careful about these things. I mean, some of the campaigns are quite good. I mean, we had it with one of the clients where they were effectively spoofing internal correspondence. So they were sending emails supposedly from the CEO. So the email address was, if you read the email address, it says it's from the CEO to the CFO saying, please, can you just make a payment of 75,000 quickly over here? And it looks exactly like it is. He knows who all the internal people are. So there's these things are very real and become very expensive very quickly if you get them wrong. So if in doubt, do nothing. With that, I'm going to hand over to Anay, I think, who is up next.
Yes, and I think that also talks to your point, Mark, that it is quite important to know how to spell words correctly, because often in that hyperlinks or in the email domain, they would like just change a letter to make you think that it's the same thing. But if you go and look at it a little bit closer, it is actually not. So let me quickly share my screen with you. I assume that everyone can see my screen. I think when it goes white now, yes.
Yep.
Cool. So this morning, good morning, everybody. My name is Anne. I do some account management and general management at eachother. And this morning, I want to speak to you about social savvy. So I've realized recently that we kind of have an increase in social anxiety among people in general. So if you're invited to a party or you have to attend an event, and maybe this is just me, but if it's you as well, please tell us in the chats, that people are quite reluctant to be as confident as they were prior to COVID. So what today is not about your social media presence or your social media account or how you should conduct yourself online. Today is actually about how you should conduct yourself in person and when speaking to people. So I am coining it having social savvy. So to understand the concept a little bit better, I think we should first look at the definition of social savvy. So savvy means shrewdness and practical knowledge, the ability to make good judgments. And what stood out for me from that was practical knowledge. So if we think about having practical knowledge, you can assume that it derives from something learned or something taught that you can go and apply in the real world. Now, I've heard that many people will then give this response to say that, but I have social anxiety. I hear you, but you also have the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And once you have the knowledge, you can practice the skills to be better. So let's look at a few things that you can do to fight your social anxiety. Before we do that, why now? Why am I talking about this now? So we've all been locked up for about 2 years, forced to engage via screens. I'm actually quite cognizant of putting my video on because the fact that we have unlearned the ability to talk to people face to face is actually contributing to our social anxiety status. So many people are feeling anxiety and distress as they re-enter society after 2 years of taking safety precautions to stay safe from COVID-19. For some people, this may be the first time they're experiencing symptoms of social anxiety. So because we've been in isolation, people that was assumed to be quite confident and well-spoken before the pandemic is actually now saying that they are finding it difficult to re-engage in social settings. But like the silver lining to this always is, there are steps that you can take to reduce anxiety and make social situations more enjoyable. So the first thing I usually tell people, especially if you're new at a company or new in the working environment, one of the first things people struggle with is when the phone rings, they just like freeze up. And then I'm like, you know that the person on the other side of the phone is also just that, a person. So the first tip that I would give you this morning is to align your mind. You are not dealing with something in the first picture. You are actually dealing with people as they are presented there in the second picture. So next time you find yourself in a social setting, be it coffee with a new client, entering a meeting with people that you don't know, or even just answering the phone, ask yourself a few questions. What's the worst thing that can happen? And I'm actually going to answer that question for you this morning. The worst thing that can happen is that person attack you and eat you with its vicious monster teeth. And guess what? That cannot happen. First of all, they're not a monster. Second of all, it's not permitted by law that people can physically kill and murder you. So that cannot happen. Will anything that you say or do be the cause of the end of the world? No, nothing that you can say or do will be the cause of the end of the world. You are not Putin, you are not Biden. So you physically do not have access to nuclear weapons. So you will be fine. Whatever you say we'll be okay. And then, will the sun shine again tomorrow? Yes, there will be instances in which you will embarrass yourself. All of us do that, but it won't be the end of the world, and the sun will shine again tomorrow. And people will go on with their lives. So even though this thing will seem like this big pressing thing in your mind, it won't be, because you know what? The person you're talking to wouldn't even notice, or they won't make such a big deal of it as you are making of it at that moment. The second tip that I will give you this morning is that practice makes perfect. So if you feel conscious in a certain situation, your body will act in a specific way. So let's say I feel self-conscious when I walk into a room and I then automatically cross my arms. I can condition my brain to feel the feeling, but to act differently on it. So next time you enter a room and you feel the feeling of self-consciousness or a little bit of imposter syndrome or even just social anxiety in general, acknowledge the feeling, but regulate the response to it. So perhaps next time when you feel it come up, consciously smile, or consciously sit up straighter, or consciously make eye contact with other people. When you feel conscious, practice your default response so that your body don't dictate how you respond, but your mind actually tell you how you should look and conduct yourself. The third topic is to know your topic, or any topic for that matter. When you do research and you know something about anything, you have something to talk about with confidence. So knowledge is power. Everyone knows something, and you know something that someone else may not, or that they have a similar interest in. So you have the power to, when you speak to people about stuff that they perhaps have a similar interest in, to establish common ground and to build a connection. And then it's like having coffee with a friend, a new friend. And how else would you make new friends if you can't establish that common ground and take the first step to building that connection to establish new relationships? So next time you walk into a scary room, and I'm putting scary in inverted commas because it's not really that scary at all, be confident, smile, stand tall, make eye contact, and just say hello. The rest will follow, because the world needs you. Self-confidence is a superpower, and once you start to believe in yourself, magic starts happening. And I'm not 100% sure who said that, because the internet is giving me a lot of different authors. So if you want to make sure yourself, you're more than welcome to go and Google this quote and find out, or let us know if you found the reputable source. And just like that, say something or tell people when you're not 100% sure, because being trustworthy and being authentic goes a lot further than actually seeming knowledgeable, and then finding yourself in a situation where you freeze up, you don't take the confidence or the willingness to talk to people, and then you actually miss out on a chance to give the world the opportunity to engage with you and your superpowers. So thank you, guys. That is me for this morning.
Fabulous, thanks, Anaya. And I think it's such a topical thing at the moment. We're seeing it more and more with events coming back face to face, talking to people. It's a good skill, and I think you guys must all kind of work on it, particularly those that are kind of just starting out in their careers and meeting actual people. It's a cool topic. Well done. Any other comments from the floor before we wrap up? Fabulous. Then it is a Friday. We will all have lots to do. I'll ping some things onto the group just now, but nicely done this morning, everybody. And we shall chat then on Monday. Cheers, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.